So it's been a really long time since I last posted. Oopsies. But no, this one took me a while and it will continue to take me a while. But this is just part one of what's actually to come. So what I decided to do was I've been wanting to do like Disney princesses for a while, but I don't really draw women mainly because I'm not that proficient at drawing women since I shifted to like drawing guys instead. So as I always do, and it's probably like my most favorite thing to do of all time is to do gender bend. So I gender bend all the Disney princesses into Disney princes, okay? Obviously, there's really no story behind it. Like, they don't get no story. It's just gender bending or whatnot. But I didn't gender bend them exactly like the way you think I gender bent them. So here's what I did. I took the original writer of the fairy tale and I did it based off that. What do you mean I did it based off that? Now, so right now I'm starting with Snow White. So Snow White is the first princess that I decided to choose. And I'm splitting it off based off like which ones have live action movies and which ones don't have live action movies. Just because there's a lot of princesses and then in total this did take me like 26 hours in total to like draw and color all of them. Like not all of them, but like just the ones that do have movies right now. So for the starting one, we're doing Snow White. For ethnicity wise, because the princesses don't really have ethnicities. I mean, some of them you can tell, like Mulan, you know for a fact that she's not gonna be Caucasian, or like I forgot the other one. But this one, Snow White. So the I did the version of Grimm's Brothers for Snow White. A lot of these original stories, like because this is the 1812 version of Snow White by Grimm's Brothers, and they are German. So Snow White's German now. I made her German. Now, obviously, she's not gonna look German. What is really German is obviously the ethnicity wise. Like I guess skin color would be like the most obvious choice, and the fashion. Her dress, her Disney press. I mean, her Disney princess dress is it's all right. It's okay. It's not the prettiest. So I had to look online through different sites, through different far off seas that I could find out for fashion, 1812 fashion for boys, because she's 14 years old in the story. Now, the original story, dear lord, I didn't want to talk about it. It's not really okay. Like I can see like why Disney changed it, obviously. But if you read the original story, you're gonna see why I didn't want to speak about it. Honestly, you could read it on your own time when you're older, or like if you're already older, you can just go ahead and read it. But it's a really interesting story, but also pretty gruesome. It's pretty nasty too, if I say so. So what I started off with, well, Snow White has the recent movie Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We all know that one. The current, that's the animated movie, and then obviously the live action movie that came out like a couple. I think it was last year that it came out. I kind of forgot. Snow White particularly isn't my favorite Disney princess. Isn't really my favorite, really in general, like story wise. The animated movie is sweet classic, lovely songs, but it just story wise it was boring. I didn't like it. I wasn't really like, oh my god, I love Snow White. No, I'm sorry. This story was a bit boring. And then with the live action movie, it wasn't really. I mean, it was a bit different, but it wasn't any different because the story was still boring. And with the CGI that they did, what made me just maybe scared. I don't know why they couldn't just get like real live action dwarfs. Not real live action dwarfs. I don't know why they couldn't just hire real actors that were actually dwarfs. Or they could have done like with The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings where they just CGI them to make them like dwarf size. Like they could have done that too. I mean, it would have been way better than having CGI dwarfs, meaning and they look animated. They don't look real. They look fake and it looks weird. Because you see like a real human being and then you see like those creatures that don't even look human. They don't even look real, and that bothered me because I was really hoping they actually did it with real people, but they didn't. So it was disappointing. Movie disappointed me a lot. I did not like it. I did not like the live action movie. It was very sad, very depressing. Now let me tell you what I did with the outfit. I kept the hair short, bobbed because it's still Snow White, but just like male version. Kept the obviously I kept the colors, the skin colors, and everything to be as similar, but not as similar. So obviously the clothing design, fashion design, gonna look different. Color wise, I wanted to really have the same colors, which kind of like messed me up in like later on with the other drawings. But it was pretty tough with limited colors, especially when it's like an outfit that has a lot going on. So I gave him a sailor style outfit. They had like coats. So this isn't 100% 1812 fashion that Germans wore. Like this is not 100%. Like I did add in like a little things to make it look nicer, or just to like kind of add a little bit more like, Snow White aesthetics. Like the bow wise, like that bow, because Snow White had like a bow on her head. So I took that and moved it down to where like the sailor uniform would be at. Kept that little same aesthetic bow. And then like the arms, how they're like triangular, because if you see her like puffed sleeves, I took that. Now I didn't realize that I kind of did change the color scheme a bit. Like it's still blue. If you've seen her shirt, it's a bit lighter, but I changed it a bit more, not to be a bit more masculine, but just because I didn't want the colors to be too bright. I feel like the too bright colors were like I didn't like. And the one thing that really bothered me about the movies, I will tell you because it bothered me the most, was the outfit. The outfit, the clothing they gave to like the actress, they had potential. They had potential to change that outfit to be a bit more appropriate for the era that it took place in, or at least, make it prettier since we obviously back then they did something simplistic, but they could have at least, get that creativity out there and made it a bit more prettier, but they didn't, so it bothers me. And so now I'm doing this because of that. So here's the finished picture of Snow White as a boy, 14-year-old boy. One thing I will say about the original story is it's not safe for kids. Honestly, it's pretty tragic having to even read a story like that. Like, honestly, it's a pretty disgusting story in general. It's pretty disgusting, and a lot of the Disney princess stories are pretty disgusting, like the originality. But that is Snow White. Next, we have is The Little Mermaid. Ooh, I do like this one personally. I do love the animated story. I like the original story. I like the live action movie. I'm telling you, this one exceeded my expectations. Okay, now for The Little Mermaid, aka Ariel. Now this one, 16-year-olds, it was like a teenage year for like the original one. This one had a couple stories that I think there was like 4 or 5 in total. No, that was something else. My bad. This one I took from Hans Christian Andersen, the Danish author for The Little Mermaid from 1837. This one is actually the original story is not too bad. Actually, not too bad. It's a really not sweet. It's not sweet. I almost said sweet, but it's not sweet. It's a bit sad. Like, same thing how Ariel comes up from, wanting to be human because she fell in love. And when she got her feet, the first thing that like really catches your attention when it comes to detail is that when she touched sand, or I guess she started walking, it felt like needles were stabbing at the bottom of her feet. Needles. That sounds painful. I'm pretty sure that's painful. So it's not nothing compared to Legos. But that was one of the main things. And another main thing was the fact that her love, I guess she couldn't just do it. And so instead of having to, get rid of the prince, she chose to just turn into seafoam. So it's a bit of a tragic story. I mean, nothing too crazy, more very simple, but it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. Now, the Disney animated film, that one's sweet. It's not sweet. Hold on. I didn't say that. It's not sweet, but it's a bit lovely in the terms of how she falls in love with the human, and her father is obviously against it. Like, Ariel, what are you doing? Why are you falling in love with the human? Aren't you a mermaid, a princess? I mean, they're both of royalty. And the fact that her auntie, which is kind of crazy, her auntie I mean, she wanted to be king, and then obviously, made her niece. Like, that's some crazy auntiness right there. I don't know what kind of auntie that'd be, but that's a crazy aunt right there. Making her niece go out there in exchange for her voice, because she wants her to fail too after she saw she was succeeding a little too well for being mute. Now for the live action, it has exceeded my expectations. Okay, the music, mwah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. But the fact that they gave music, a song to Prince Eric, oh my god, it was so good. I still listen to that song till today because it's I like the fact that they made not just the princess sing, but also the prince sing. Like that, I want to see more of that. I want to see a lot more of that. I mean, give them songs to sing because they deserve their songs too. They deserve it. And obviously continues in the movie, it was really similar to the animated version. Like, honestly, there wasn't much of a difference now that I think about it. I'm trying to think. Yeah, there wasn't much about a difference. I mean, obviously, if you ignore like the actress, and obviously you ignore like that whole situation where everyone was upset because she's not white, she's not the same Ariel that everyone knows. Like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But if you look past that, that movie was amazing. I loved that movie. I would go and watch it again. Not right now though, obviously, but I really like the movie. Honestly, it my favorite live action Disney princess movie. That one takes number one. It takes number one. Putting Snow White down at the bottom. I'm sorry, Snow White. You just were not interesting in the first place. But I really love that movie. So going back to the male version now. Now, as for the outfit, I searched up 1837 Danish fashion. This is basically just gonna be a repeat of everything I do, like French fashion, uh, American fashion, Mexican fashion, stuff like that. But this one was like the main thing I searched. So I did choose. Now, I've been wondering, why is Ariel pink? Questions, of course. I'll answer that question for you because it's actually a really easy question. It's so easy. The reason why his outfit is pink is because I was thinking of doing like the mermaid fit with the purple and the green. I honestly don't like those colors combined together. And I really wanted to do like, like humans, like human clothing fit. I really want to keep with that humanistic and stuff like that. I didn't really want to do a merman basically, but I wanted to do clothing, okay? I do need to practice on clothing, so I was like, clothing. We shall do clothing, which is why we're doing clothing. Now, I did keep the pearls because the pearls were important. Like I said, like I repeat almost every single time, this is not 100% 1837 Danish fashion. It is darn near just the basics of basics. Like, if you look at the outfit, there wasn't any of that, like, white prettiness or whatever. Because the sleeves, I was thinking of doing like what I did with Snow White with like little checker, not checker, the little diamond sleeves. But I was thinking it's gonna be repetitive because I'm not gonna do that with Ariel and then the Snow White. It just makes no sense to do that as well. And here is the finished product of Ariel. I kept the hair swoop. That's like the most iconic hairstyle that you see Ariel's, that really weird bang that just swoops that you need tons of hairspray for. I was thinking of doing the earrings, the pearl earrings, but I just felt like it's a bit too, like, I would say it's too feminine, but it just didn't suit. Okay, it is too feminine, okay? At this point I might as well say it's too feminine. So I put the pearls on the neck and I put the pearls on the hat, keep the pearls, and tidy, because she didn't have white in her dress and pink as well. So I did everything pink. I feel like I did too much pink, but it's too late. But that's Ariel for you as a boy, a 16-year-old boy Ariel. So the next one is next. Introducing Aurora from the Sleeping Beauty. This one had stories, and I mean many stories written by many authors, translated by many authors, okay? Now, the one I chose because I was thinking of doing the 1300s version by Troyes and Zenadine. I think that's how you say it. But I was like, oh, is this gonna be too far back? And then there was another version which was the Gambastas, Basil, Sun and Moon, and Tala, and I was like, I might as well go a little bit further because those are the two early ones. So the one I chose was one of the later versions, this in 1697, written by like a French person, by Charles Perrault's The Sleeping Beauty in the Wood, because that one had this title, The Sleeping Beauty in the Wood. I chose that one because the other ones were like more like different names for like the different characters, and I was like, you know what, let's try to get one that's like closest to like Disney version. Like later in 1812, they had like the Grimm's brothers, the Little Briar Rose, and then obviously the 1959 version, which is the version that we're most accustomed to growing up when we were kids, or like if you're an adult already, seeing your kid watch it, you know. Eventually, we all watched. Okay, we all watched the 1959 version, which was the Disney's version. This version, written by a French author, is concerning. It's almost as concerning as the Snow White version, which it's concerning. When I say it's concerning, it's concerning, okay? Just believe me, it's concerning. You don't want to read it because it's gonna hurt your mind. It's gonna hurt your head too while you're at it. I don't recommend it. I personally don't recommend you reading it. I don't recommend you going looking at it. But if you really want to, if your curiosity is telling you to go, then just do it. But I will pray for you. Whoever reads it, I will pray for you. Because it's not a good story. It traumatized me a couple of years ago. But moving past that, obviously, because that's the original story. I have to say this. I really don't want to say this because Aurora has been my favorite, and I mean my favorite Disney princess. But her story, the animated version story, is I find it boring. I have to say, I find it boring. I mean, it almost reminds me of Snow White. You know, like she obviously gets cursed and she gets sent to the woods, and she got like these three fairies to take care of her. And eventually she gets older, meets this guy in the woods. You know, they're singing like "woo, spinny spin spin," all of that madness, okay? And eventually she touches the spindle wheel tip or whatever and falls into a deep sleep, yada yada. Guy kisses her without consent, and then she wakes up, okay? Like, cool. That's almost like Snow White's because she got poisoned too. Well, she didn't get poisoned too, but she got cursed, technically speaking. The live action movie it did though, honestly that did justice. That did justice. It's not even called Sleeping Beauty, it's called Maleficent, which focuses mainly on the antagonist, which they so happen to make the antagonist a better person. Which, hey, I'm not complaining because the story was darn good. I actually really liked it. It was way better than, I mean, obviously doing the basic story of Sleeping Beauty. Like, they actually improved it. Like, they actually made it different and watchable. I'm like, ah, so wait. So I did the 1697 French fashion of Aurora. 16-year-old. I try to find more like appropriate age, but at the end of the day, I was like, it's not gonna be accurate 100%. So I'll do the best I can. And I did want to make the clothes look as silky as possible because this is a prince. A prince, I didn't do, their basic cabin outfit. A prince. This man has lived in a castle with many, many maids and riches. So obviously I wanted to make things beautiful. And I saw ruffles and I was like, those ruffles are so pretty. Now you're wondering why I did blue. Because she had two outfits. She had two colors, not two outfits. She had two colors, and the maids, the fairies were switching them pink, blue, pink, blue. They had like a little quarrel when she was dancing at the end. I did blue because the pink was gonna remind me of Ariel that I just did previously, and I was thinking, well, shoot, like I did pink, and I don't want to do another pink one, and it's gonna be a problem. But then I realized Cinderella's blue, Jasmine's blue. So at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? We'll do her most iconic, what everyone really knows her for, which is pink. So I switch it to pink. Now the pink is a little off color, I mean, it's a little too dark in some places. I did try to implement like the lighter portions, and then she had white, and I was like, man, I should have added white. So I added white to the frills, more frills because the frills were really giving me like, ooh, pretty. And I had to add the crown because the crown's the most important one. I feel like I did pretty good with the crown. Like, look at that gold. You never seen gold cut that good, have you? That's pretty much. That's Aurora for you, Sleeping Beauty. So the next one is a Mulan. Oh my goodness, Mulan. I also like Mulan. I love the animated movie. I always want to say show. It's not show. It's a movie, an animated movie that Disney made. I love it. I really liked it a lot. It was funny. It was goofy. Then there was also like seriousness to it. And I always wondered why Mulan was even considered a princess. Like, I don't think that would work. You know, if it was a princess, she wouldn't really be going off to war. You know, she wouldn't have to volunteer or force herself to go to war because her father, because her father would have been the king, and he would have been like, "You my daughter, so you don't go to war." Basically, you don't go to war. But she's considered a princess for some reason. I mean, she didn't even marry a prince. It's like what, a general? I married a general. Basically a general, not even a prince. Like, I'm still confused about that, but I mean, hey, I guess she's a princess somehow, some way. Who knows how? Now, for Mulan, it was Hua Mulan. That was like the original name. I guess it was a Chinese poem. It was like the Ballad of Mulan. 6th century, 5th century, one of the two. It was said oral, so there wasn't really like scriptures or like books written about it. It was like more like stories told by a person's mouth, almost like a bard. And eventually it just got written down, and so that's the one I decided to go to, was just the one that doesn't really have an author. I stuck with the 6th, 5th century one, which I was kind of regretting as I was working on it, like, you know, drawing Mulan and everything, and I was like, oh, you know, this isn't going so well. I end up going for the terracotta soldiers. You know, like that tomb that they found, and there was tons, and I mean tons of soldiers just like in rows. That's the one I decided to go for in terms of their fashion, and I did choose armor because it only seemed appropriate that Mulan got his armor because he's a warrior. Now he is. And the original story, Hua Mulan, is actually pretty. It's pretty similar to the original, to the not the original, to the Disney's version. It's like almost on spot. I think it's pretty on spot. Like in terms of like just getting the importance of it, it's pretty on spot. Let me tell you why. Obviously, it's the same thing, you know, where Mulan volunteers, not really volunteer. She basically forces herself to go to war for her father because her father's too old, he's too sick, he can't fight, and obviously she loves him, so she decides to go for him instead. Obviously, that was the same thing, and the thing that shocked me the most was that for 13 years, it was for 12 or 13 years, they did not know Mulan was a girl for that long. 13 years is crazy. For 13 years, I'm shocked. I'm still shocked because how you not gonna know? Like for 13 years, like your buddy is a woman this entire time. Because like, you know, like women get like that every month. So like how do you manage to hide that? You know, I don't know what went through. I mean, it's a story, but may be based off a real story, may not be based off a real story, but it was a story that was told. Now, what really made me upset when they made that live action Mulan Disney adaptation, I didn't like it. I absolutely hated it. I hated it more. Yes, I'm reading it back. I hated it more than the Snow White. It was ridiculous. Okay, because first of all, when it started, she knows how to fight. She was a kid. You know, it shows her when she's like a kid and she's already like doing backflips on these buildings, you know, parkour everywhere. Like, no, that is not Mulan. That is not the Mulan that I grew up with. You know, because I just felt like it had like a different story, like a different message, you know, compared to like, oh, I already know how to fight, you know, because I've been practicing like martial arts. I've been practicing basically parkour when I was a kid, and so I'm gonna take my dad's place into this war. You know, she's all confident because she knows how to fight. She already knows what she's doing. But compared to like the Disney version or aka the original version, she doesn't know anything, you know. She was grown up, or yeah, she was basically raised to be a woman, you know, raised to be all pretty, get dressed up, you know, and socialize and get with the dude. Like, and she, who knew nothing about war, who knew nothing about how to fight, who never held a sword in her life, she went out to risk her life for her father. Like, I just feel like it brings a different message compared to like, I know how to fight already because I've been doing it. So I was like, yeah. It just, I hated it. I just hated that live action. It was cool. The action was cool. Okay, the action was pretty cool. I mean, it was alright. But story wise and how it proceeded, I did not like it. It just defeated the purpose of Mulan. It just destroyed Mulan. It destroyed who she was, and it bothered me. and it made me so sad. And then they made it all serious. I mean, that's I guess that's fine. Take out the comedy. I was cool. I'll take out the three jokesters. It's fine. I'm not that. You know, I'm complaining. I really wish they were there. I really wish it wasn't like it's super super serious live action film, but it was super serious, and they removed everything that I really liked about Mulan. So, oh well. Second movie of the anime show was okay. It was cool. It was cool. Yeah, the outfit was just simple. It's really simple. It was probably the most simplest outfit I had to do. It was just armor. I looked up a bit of references, quote unquote references, because there wasn't really much other than terracotta armor. Because I really wanted to be as accurate, but not too accurate, because it was something that was bothering me. I did keep the hair the same, the ribbon, the green colors. That was the one. I did try to keep the colors similar. The green was similar. The armor was a bit hard. It was just armor. It's silver. It's not really gold. It wasn't fancy. So this was probably like the easiest one really to do in terms of what I needed to find. Sword wise, I did look up traditional Chinese swords. So that is a bit different compared to her original sword that she used in the anime show. I did keep the red gem at the very end though. So here is the finished product, aka Mulan. Had Mulan been a dude, it wouldn't really matter. The story wouldn't even exist. It would have just been another family, because every family was like basically just drafted into the war. Like it doesn't change anything. The story wouldn't exist if Mulan wasn't a woman. But this is the finished product of Mulan. So on to the next one. Sleeping Beauty. I'm not Sleeping Beauty. I mean Beauty and the Beast. I don't know why I said Sleeping Beauty, but it's Beauty and the Beast. So that one was written by Gabrielle Suzanne Barbot in 1740, and guess what? She's French. You know who else was French? Go back and find out. So this was another French one. I was hoping for a different country, but wesh, she is French. Belle is French now. And also a teenager. Obviously, the color scheme is yellow. Let's go. Now, Beauty and the Beast as an animated film, it wasn't too bad. Thinking about it, I actually really enjoyed it. Kind of, it is a bit interesting. A woman, she gets kidnapped, by a beast, who then she has to fall in love with because he wants his curse to be undone. But eventually he's like, I love you too. It's weird thinking about it. I obviously when you're a kid you don't really think much about it, but now thinking about it, it's like, okay, we know what she's into. Cough cough. The original story was pretty similar. It's pretty similar. She actually had sisters though. Belle had three sisters. And obviously they all wanted different things, and Belle being Belle, I want a flower because she was sweet. She was like the kindest sister there. And so father, obviously being father, saw a rose and he took it. Obviously, that's where kind of Disney adaptation comes in, where you took my rose, give me your daughter. The beast demanded a daughter because he knew he had daughters. And so he went there, he went back home, was like, well, shucks, I gotta give up one of my daughters. And Belle, being the nicest one, obviously offered herself to go. So she decides to go and meet the beast. They had like a chill time. I wouldn't say it was chill, but I want to say it was chill though. They had like a pretty decent time, and obviously Belle, she got homesick. She didn't want to go home. Obviously you wanted to meet her father, back to her sisters, and so on. He let her go. He let her. He's like, make sure you come back, okay? Cause I basically I still need you. So she goes and she spends her time with her family, and just when she's about to go, her sister's like, no, we need more time with you. Like, please stay a bit more. So Belle decides to spend a bit more time, and this wasn't accounted for. So now the beast, he's not happy. Eventually she ends up returning and she's like, I love you, and it breaks the curse and yada yada. That's all the ending. But the reason why the beast was cursed, you gotta look that up yourself, because that was unaccounted for. That was unexpected. Like, mm, we can push that back to the back of our heads. We don't even know why, but it was not really appropriate. It was kind of weird. But just know that it was pretty darn similar to this Disney live action, not live action, to the remake. Not to the remake, I'm sorry, what the heck? No, to the Disney animated. movie. As for the live action, I don't know what to say honestly. I mean, CGI was pretty cool, pretty nice. My favorite character has to be Gaston. I don't know why, but he's so narcissistic. Like the fact that he likes Belle and just goes out his way to just try to like capture her and to make her basically his. It's crazy, you know. He knows where she is. Now they're like, we gotta go hunt the beast god. Let's go get it. And his ending wasn't pretty, but I just like Gaston. Like the music that they gave him, like the songs that he has, were they're pretty catchy. I really like it. It just sucks that he had to be that type of person. But I like Gaston. I mean, I wouldn't call him a villain. You know, he was just a lonely man. Okay, don't be too harsh on Gaston. But as for the live action movie, I can't say much honestly. It like it's like almost like Snow White. It's like almost the same thing, like almost the darn same thing. But it was better. It was better than Snow White. See, I'm gonna be trashing on Snow White probably all day today, but it was better. As of for the outfit, obviously 1740 French fashion. I saw like it was like puffy. I don't know how to explain that. It's just puffy. Belle's dress was puffy, so I was like, the coat gotta be puffy, and I didn't want to do with like what I did with Sleeping Beauties, how I had a bunch of frills. So I did the opposite. Not really the opposite, but basically the darn opposite. There's not really a lot of frills. It was more simplistic compared to what I would do with the other ones. I did add the rose because the rose is so important to the story. It's basically like the whole reason why this happened because of a darn rose. You want the rose being touched? Why is it there? I'm joking. I'm joking. If it's your property, don't let someone touch your roses, okay, guys? If it's on your property, don't let them touch your stuff, okay? If it's don't let them touch that blade of grass that's right there, because that's yours. That's yours to keep. As for the hairstyle was a bit weird. Because I was thinking like, okay, I kind of want to do what Belle had with that little swoosh on her forehead, but I didn't think that was too masculine. I was gonna do with more like oldish style. So I did keep her. I did do the hairstyle that she had when she was a villager. Well, she was still a villager. So she has hair that's just swooped to her side with the bow. You know, honestly, I'm sorry to all those Beauty and the Beast fans, but I really don't have much to say about this one. I mean, everything wasn't perfect. Everything wasn't, original story, the live action Disney movie, the animated Disney movie. Yeah, everything just it sit right in the middle. There wasn't anything that was bad about it. There wasn't anything that was like, oh my god, this is so different compared to like the original. It just stayed in the neutral middle. It was just, it's all right. But here's the finished outfit. I feel like it's a bit basic. Maybe it's not, but I did add roses inside the coat as the liner because I gotta integrate as many roses as I can. I thought it looked pretty, like I thought it looked kind of cute. But that's Rose for you. I mean, that's not Rose. That's Belle for you. Next we have is Aladdin. And did you know in the original story of Aladdin, it may not be the original, but this is the original that I found, doesn't have no genie. It doesn't have Princess Jasmine, she doesn't exist in the story. And I'm assuming she was replaced by somebody else. Now, the original story that I'm assuming is the original story was Aladdin and Alibaba and 40 Thieves. Now, it was translated by this man named Antonian Galan. Now, he's the translator, and he claims that the story was told by a Syrian storyteller named Hannah Diab. Syrian? I think it's Syrian. Oopsies. But it was translated by him based off what he has heard from another guy. So the year I took was 1709, which was the time when I guess it was just founded, I guess, when he was translating it. I guess the day he was being told the story. I just decided to go based off that. Now, the original story, this is how it went. So there was Ali Baba, which is, I guess you can say, Aladdin. He, stumbles upon a cave, and this cave, he says, open sesame, and it opens, and he finds treasure. Now, he has a brother who I guess sees this because he came back and he took some gold. Okay, he took some gold, and his brother Kasim, he finds out, and so he does the same thing except oopsies for him, he forgot the password. He forgot Open Sesame. Obviously, it's different back then, but he forgot the password, so he didn't make it out, and instead the thieves got to him, so he didn't make it out. Uh-oh. So here's what I assume is what they decide to get Princess Jasmine from. Now, Alibaba has this slave, okay, and her name's Morgana. And Morgana, she's very faithful. She's a very faithful slave, okay? Because when she found out that the thieves were trying to track down Alibaba because he basically took their gold, she basically foils their plans. She tricks them, and then eventually she ends up getting rid of them. Oh, she pours hot boiling water over their heads when they're hiding in jugs because she knew they were there. But hot boiling water, that's I don't know. Like, can you survive that? I think you. I don't know. I mean, don't even answer that question. Okay, they don't survive. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that they don't survive. But that's gotta hurt. So that's the short, basically summary of what Aladdin was, like what it kind of really is. I mean, he still is a thief. I mean, there is no king, there is no princess, and I'm assuming that's where Morgana is. And it's really funny because that really reminds me of an anime. I don't know if you guys can guess what anime it is, but I really like the anime. But that's what it reminds me of because it basically has the same characters' names. Oh. So I would say this one's interesting. Like Aladdin's probably the most interesting one, mainly because it's not named really after a princess. You see like Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Moana. Okay, well Frozen's a different story. Don't look at that one. But basically we have the main character who's a guy who's a thief who finds a genie. Where did they even get a genie from? Disney. Where'd you get that genie from? Like, what made you think of that? Maybe I don't know. They've been creative on this one though. The guy with genie grants only 3 wishes and everything is perfect for him, kind of, not really, because now there's an evil guy who wants that lantern. He's trying to run away from that person because that person wants that lantern, so he's trying to run away. Anyways, he ends up getting with the princess. It's kind of crazy, was it rags to riches, because he was basically just a thief. Where did they even get that monkey? Where's that monkey come from? Is it from Dora? I think Dora's missing her monkey, but it's a decent story. It's not too bad. I mean, you follow the story of Aladdin, who is a lot more adventurous. I don't even know what they could do with Jasmine in terms of her story, because she's a princess. She might be the only princess that doesn't really have much drama going on. Now that I think about it, oh my gosh. As for the Disney live action movie, I don't. Oh my god, I liked it. I like the songs. You know what? These Disney songs, guys, I gotta tell you, they're so good sometimes. Not Snow White's, but they're so good. I don't know what's up with them. They be cooking sometime. Not the newer ones though, but they be cooking with like one of the older movies. Now I watched Aladdin in the theaters. I watched it when it was about to go away. I have to tell you the story because it still traumatizes me to this day. Like, it doesn't traumatize me, but it still bothers me to this day. Like, guys, if you're gonna go on a date with your significant other, please don't go to the theaters to watch a Disney movie and sit at the very corner of the theaters. Obviously there's still people gonna be there. You're not alone. But like, come on, guys. Get a car. Get a room. Like, I don't know what you're doing in the corner, but we can hear it. We can hear it on it. Like, I probably should have been, like probably should have grabbed somebody to like get them kicked out, because honestly guys, that's just inappropriate. You cannot be doing stuff like that at theaters, okay? You cannot, like, get a room. You cannot be at the theaters doing what you're doing just because you think you're by yourself. You're not by yourself. There's people nearby. I mean, I sat at the very back because that's where the good seat is, okay? I don't know, you crazy people be sitting at the very front. I don't, you're next. You gotta get your next therapy or whatever. Fix your neck. But the back is where it's the best, okay? The back middle. Where you can put your hand up in the projector and put like a little handprint on there. But obviously when you're by yourself, because that's really rude to do it when people are watching it or in the middle of a movie. But the corner, really, guys. Anyways, I was watching the movie and I almost for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, you'd be hearing the smooching and dear Lord, you don't want to look over there. Just don't do it. Just don't do it, guys, please. As for the outfit, because now we gotta go back to focusing on what we were on topic. As for the outfit, 1709 obviously was the year I chose. So I searched up Syrian outfit fashion for that. And I got these good looking, these good looking, really pretty clothes. They're really pretty. It just made me sad because I really wanted to, break free from just the blue because they did have colors and patterns. I didn't do it. I really want to stick to what Jasmine has as her colors, which is just blue. It's literally just blue. And I feel like there's so much blue. Like Snow White got blue, Cinderella got blue. All the characters in Frozen mainly got blue. I feel like blue's Disney's favorite. Oh wait, no, it is. I forgot their little screen that whenever you watch a movie, their castle, it's blue. Maybe blue's their favorite color, but I stuck to blue. I did do different shades of blue because honestly, you can't really do much with one shade of blue when you're doing layered clothing. That just gets too difficult. I kept Jasmine's, or I kept, yeah, I guess I kept Jasmine's floofy hair. You see how it kind of like, whoosh, it, whoosh, it swoofs. I kept that because that really indicated that that's Jasmine. That's the gender bent version of Jasmine. That, with all these gender bends, I just want them to like at least look like Disney princess, but like still be a prince version of them, like the male version of them, and you could tell who that is. Like, I can't have you guys guessing. Like, oh, is that Ariel? No, no, it's not Ariel. It's Jasmine. Like, how do you get that mixed up? But I don't want that happening. I don't want that happening. Now, as for the finished product, yeah, the gold, I think I did pretty bad with the gold. I don't know what was happening to me last night. Yes, it was last night when I colored this. We don't know when last night was, but it was last night for me. The gold could have used some work. I felt like Aurora's crown was like perfect. It was chef's kiss, but this one needed some work. The jewels, aka the one on the head and the one on like the waistband, I think I did pretty good on that. But I know this is mainly like what women would wear. From what I was seeing, it seemed like a lot of women were like gold. But I really want to show that, Jasmine obviously is still a royalty, she's a princess. She got all these riches going on. So I had to bedazzle him with the gold. I kept the iconic earrings, those iconic huge gold earrings. I don't know how your ears can handle that. I kept that in. I added some gold beads. I kept like the armrest gold going on, like the armrest bracelet gold. You know that thing you see right there? Yeah, I see it too. And then I added a dagger. It's a bit wonky. Okay, don't stare at it for too much. Okay, don't stare at the dagger. Please don't stare at it. It's a bit wonky, but I added it because it looked pretty. And so that is Prince Jasmine for you guys. Now we're on to the last one for this part one. The last one. So can you guess who it is? I saved the best for last. Cinderella, the one who's always by the ashes, burning stuff, and that's why I got Cinder. Woo! I was shocked with this one. This one was the last one I did. This one actually was last minute. I completely forgot about Cinderella and Cinderella's movie. I was like, wait a minute, I'm missing something, and there it was. Cinderella, the last one. Anyways, so just beginning, the original one, Cinderillion. Actually, that is not the original one. Sorry, my bad, I lied. It's one of the older ones. There's so many versions of Cinderella. I kid you not. Okay, there's so many versions of it. I don't know what to say. Same thing for movies. Like, there's so many movies, but this is Disney official. So this one was by Charles Perrault. 1697 was he when he wrote Cinderillion. It's basically the same thing as the original Disney. It's basically the same thing. I don't even know. Like, it was the first one that introduced the godmother. Basically, the fairy, the magic. Basically, the first one. That's what makes it so special, Anyways, the difference, though, I would say, was the shoe. You know how, like, in the original Disney, immediately Cinderella lost her shoe when she was running away because click, click, tock, the time was running out. Anyways, the prince immediately went to go look for her. He was like, "Where are you? Where are you? Where did you go, my princess?" This one took a couple of months. I think it was until spring. when it was a good weather, he decided to go find his princess, the one he danced with at the ball. He eventually found her. Obviously, there's still the evil stepsister, you know, yada yada, whatever. I will say though, a lot of these stories, I do prefer the Grimm's brothers versions. I do have books of them, henceforth, why I know quite a bit, but I prefer their stories mainly because of how much more there is. It's a bit grotesque in some way, like there is a bit concerning aspects to it, but it's basically not child friendly. Like you wouldn't tell a story to a child, but they are entertaining for adults to read. It's so like I do prefer the Grimm brothers versions, and I would probably want to do Grimm brothers all the time, but you can't do it because like I did it for what? I did it for Snow White. Now, live action movie, I mean, it was sweet. It's basically the same thing. It was sweet. now, now the animated movie, oh my god, what a difference! It's not that much difference, you know. It's typical. I lost my shoe. A prince is gonna come return my shoe, you know. Got that Prime delivery. Got the expensive Prime delivery. And obviously evil stepmothers and the sisters. Honestly, there's not much difference. It's like not Sleeping Beauty. Beauty and the Beast. It's basically the same. How they just didn't really differ that much from like the live action movie, from the original movie, I mean original Disney animated film, and you know story wise there's not much of a difference. Okay, I have to say there's not much difference. There's not much to complain. The dress was pretty though. That they did do a good job. They made the dress so pretty in the live action film. Like they didn't do it exactly the same as the animated film, which I'm so glad, because sometimes it looked good back then, but like you know modern shows, modern movies, you gotta like up it, you know, gotta up that game. You know, you have all these fashion designers, you have all these artistic minds, and you decide to use that same exact dress. Like you could have improved it. Cough cough, Snow White, you could have improved that dress, but you didn't. You didn't. Now getting on with the fashion, 1697 fashion is the exact same year as Sleeping Beauty as well. Now this was a bit difficult because like I said, Sleeping Beauty had that same exact year, and I really wanted to I really wanted to be different. Okay, I wanted it to be different from the ruffles I did for Sleeping Beauty. It had to be different. And guess what? I'm so glad I changed the dress back to pink, because guess what? Cinderella's blue, and they're both the same year, so we gotta have those two colors. Okay. So I was looking and I found this coat, this beautiful coat, and I was like, I had to use that coat. Like I gotta get those pom poms out, you know, for the sleeves, and that's what I did. I got those pom poms down the jacket. That blue was a bit different though, I will say. I did not use the exact same shade as Cinderella's blue. I did mute it a bit. Like I removed that saturation. It was too bright for me. I couldn't. I'm sorry. I could not. There were some other pictures that like had Cinderella's dress a bit muted as well, which is why I decided to do that instead. But that blue was too bright. I'm sorry. It's too bright for me. It's too bright for the outfit. It was not gonna work with the different shades of blue I was gonna use. It hurt my eyes. Ow, I dropped something. As for the hair, I kept Cinderella's hair. I kept her iconic bangs. I was having a hard time trying to like structure those bangs. Like, what is going on with this hair? Like, what were they doing? They're bangs. I'm pretty sure they're bangs. If they're not bangs, please tell me. Because I made them bangs. I made them like bang bangs. Like, you know, like when you blow dry your bangs. I don't know if you know that you can blow dry your bangs, but it's like when you like super blow dry your bangs with like a rounded brush, and then you do that like poof, that rain waterfall poof. This is the final product. Now I think I was a bit more, how do I say it? Like I was a bit more like I wanted to do something different. I didn't do anything different, okay? I don't know what I'm talking about. But this is the final product of Cinderella, the male version. I did keep the choker. That one has to be the most iconic thing. Like you see Cinderella with the choker. I think she's the only princess that uses a choker. The eyes were so pretty though, I gotta say. I did a good job. Anyway, so it's all blue. It's all blue. It's a different shade of blue though. Like if you look at Jasmine's, it's a different shade of blue. If you look at Snow White's, it's a different shade of blue. I did try my best to keep the shades of blue different, because I want you to know that that's Cinderella and that's not Jasmine, or that's not Snow White. Though you can probably tell with the hair color, like obviously they're not gonna have blonde hair, But that's the final one for part one. So part one just consisted of movies, Disney princesses that had movies, and part two is gonna consist of the other ones that don't have movies yet. Hopefully they get movies. Hopefully they don't. I don't know. It's a bit 50-50 right now. But honestly, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope I have a great day. I did take a while to do this. I've been really busy. You know how that is. When you find new games, you gotta play them. Oopsies. But no, that's not the only reason. And it did take me a while to draw this. Like, in total, this entire, what was it? I think I drew 6 of them. I don't know. All these princesses, all these princes, now they're princes. All these princes that I drew today, I didn't draw them today. I'm sorry, I'm lying. All these ones that I've drawn in a span of I think a week or so. I think it almost took like 2 weeks in general. But if you add up the times, it was over like 28 hours. 28 hours. I condensed 28 hours to 55 minutes. So long. Please spare me.